Hey, everybody, James with Rowe-Thrush. Welcome to the 16th episode of the Rowe-Thrush Solution Selling Show, a show that we put on every Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time, where we basically bring on a different supplier partner every week and we interview them live here on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. We do these shows again for the Granger sales force to help give them the information that they are looking for regarding our suppliers. What's great about us doing these as a live stream is if you catch us while we're live at 2 o'clock Central Time, you can actually type in any questions that you may have for the supplier as well. So today, this is actually our last fiscal year-end education show for the month. And today we'll be bringing on Todd with Lutron Electronics. It's going to be a really good show today. We're talking about some big changes that are coming, and it'll be very important for you guys to check this out and start talking to your customers now about these changes that are coming up. So with all that said, I want to introduce Todd to the show. Good afternoon, Todd. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm great. Thank you.
Good to hear. I'm glad you were able to come on to our show here today. You were traveling earlier this week. Sounds like you put on a lot of miles on the car. So glad you were able to make it today.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm always on a plane or driving somewhere. So
yeah,
massive territory.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So good to hear. And you're kind of familiar with the Granger sales force. You've worked with them in the past before, correct?
Correct. And especially with the ballast thing, it's we've been working a lot closer together and trying to look at where we're selling those replacement ballasts now. So
yeah, excellent. So before we get into Lutron and all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself. And how long you've been with Lutron, what it is that you do at Lutron.
Yep. So I've been at Lutron for 23 years in August. I spent 10 years in engineering, developing LED drivers and fluorescent dimming ballasts. Then I moved on from engineering, moved into government sales, inside and outside, upgrade sales inside and outside, ran some controlled and classified teams, and now I have replacement and upgrade services for Michigan West and Canada.
Wow, 23 years. That's a long time to be with the company, and you don't really see too many people that have been with the company for that long. So that's really great to hear. They must be a really good company if you've stuck around that long. So that's great. So I have one more question that I like to ask everybody that comes on. And this year's question is, what is your favorite band or album and why?
Oh, wow. I think my favorite now is probably Vance Joy. And it's because it's my girlfriend and my song. And he's just amazing. It's chill music and it's good, comfortable, relaxing music.
Awesome. Vance Joy, you said?
Yep.
Okay. I can't say I've heard of them before.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of everything. I like everything from heavy metal to EDM, but I've kind of been going down that path for a little while.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a metalhead as well. I grew up, started out buying Metallica, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, and whatnot. Those were the first cassettes I ever bought. I'm dating myself a little there saying cassettes. But it wasn't record or 8 tracks or anything like that for me. But those were some of the first, albums that I purchased. So, and I have a very wide range of music preferences as well. Industrial, metal, pretty much everything except country. That's like kind of the one thing that I don't really get into.
Same.
So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And with that said, too, something that I started doing back a few episodes ago is on my way home today, I will look up Vance Joy on iTunes and I'll listen to some of that on the way home from work today. So thank you for the music recommendation. I'll be checking them out. And let's move on now to Lutron. Let's talk a little bit about the company Lutron. First, tell us a little bit about what it is that Lutron does, as well as a little bit about the history of Lutron, because they got a really cool history with them too.
Yeah. So I've been there since 2000, and I'll tell you what I think how it works. Mr. Spira invented the dimmer in 1959. I know that. He was in the Navy, and I believe he was working with a component, the triac, and I'm not really sure where he came to the idea that this would dim lights. But somehow he got to the point where he realized he could dim lights with that component and created the dimmer. And I answer this question all the time when I explain I work for Lutron. And if somebody doesn't know anything about the industry, I always mention that he invented the dimmer, and now we do full building lighting automation. And I'm in the commercial world, so we work on things like McCormick Place or the Bears Stadium we did, and a bunch of different stadiums, Empire State Buildings, New York Times buildings. So it's pretty great. I get into buildings that I would never get into normally, sit in the Supreme Court chairs and get pictures holding gavels, and it's it's pretty great. I climbed through the attic of the Library of Congress, and I love what I do.
Wow, that's really cool that you get to see all the things that a lot of regular, people don't get to see too much of. Charlie Lang, who used to work at Lutron and at a point in time worked here at Rowe-Thrush too. Back when he worked at Lutron, he actually walked through the Granger corporate headquarters in Lake Forest, Illinois. And he walked through every single room in that massive campus that they have, all the way from the basement all the way to the very top, every single room. And he picked out or helped pick out all of the dimmer switches and lighting controls and everything for the entire building. And to my knowledge, it's been a few years since I've been to Granger, but to my knowledge, they still have that same Lutron system in their building.
Yep, definitely.
So he did the same thing, kind of going, into all the different rooms, all the way in engineering and everything in the basement, all the way up to the very top. So very cool there. And that's my favorite story to tell when I'm talking Lutron to district teams or to sellers about Lutron, is that your founder actually invented the old style rotary style dimmer switch that we all had probably in our dining rooms way back in the day. So very, very cool story that you guys have, definitely.
Yeah, it makes it so that other people can understand a little bit of what we do. So
yeah, definitely. So with this being our education fiscal year end special that we're doing here today, we want to kind of talk a little bit about applications in the education industry, whether it's K through 12 or higher ed, campuses, universities, things like that. Maybe some previous jobs that you worked on in the past. Just talk about it a little bit at a high level and how that process kind of starts when it comes to talking to the customers.
Yeah. So what I do is I upgrade older systems. So one thing we do as Lutron is we make our systems so they're backwards compatible, and you can reuse as much equipment as you can. And so I end up walking into universities like NYU that have 110 Lutron systems on their campus and working with them to get them up to date, especially now with the ballast thing, which we'll talk about. Now with the ballasts going away. We're moving them to LED, and we're taking their old systems and keeping panels and upgrading processors. So a lot of every university has Lutron systems on it. Loyola out there in Chicagoland, they have 35, 40 systems probably. And every university you go on to, they have them. And we have many different types of systems. I was just at a school, Fremont in Michigan, and kind of near the Sterling Heights area or Grand Rapids area. And they have thousands of ballasts and a system that's 12 years old, still running. That's probably my biggest competition is really going out and trying to upgrade these systems when they've been running for 15 years and they're still running fine. There's no problem. So.
That's great, and that says a lot. If there are people out there with systems that are 15 plus years old and they're still working just fine. Now kind of getting into the next topic here. With these ballast, fluorescent ballasts that are being discontinued later on in the year, how is that going to impact these customers that have these really old systems? You mentioned backwards compatibility. Can you talk about how that will work and what we can do to help these customers out?
Yep. So as you know, the ballasts, we're not going to have parts by the end of 2023. So we didn't decide to stop making ballasts. We had a vendor tell us they can only get us so many more parts. So we're going to build as many ballasts as we can and get them out and take care of customers. But what we have done is started working with company C-Flex, who manufactures a Type C LED retrofit kit that drops right onto the system that's there, whether it's a 15-year-old G7000 system that's 3-wire controlled, analog dimming. There's kits that will drop onto that system. If it's digital ecosystem dimming, there's kits that'll drop onto that system. And they also have, their line encompasses everything. So it could be T5, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, T8, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, compacts, biacs, everything. So they can replace any ballast that we've sold. So we've been working very closely with them to go out and get emails out and let these customers know, hey, we're not going to be able to make these ballasts anymore. And here's an upgrade path where it looks very similar to what you have. It saves you 50% of your energy. It costs less than a ballast. And it fits in perfectly.
Now, what would happen if, say, a customer does not start getting ready for these LED drivers, and let's say come the end of the year or beginning of next year, they start to have ballasts going bad? Can they put in a competitor's ballast or something else, and will the system still work, or will that light fixture not work at all, or what would happen?
So the first thing would be if they started having failures and they can't get ballasts anymore, they could put a C-Flex kit in right aside of a fluorescent and it would look the same. So if you had these LEDs right aside of the fluorescents, one for one replacements, that's not going to be a problem. If they wanted to do a whole space, then you could do a whole space and it'll look the same. But it's, I don't know, I guess moving forward, they could really just upgrade one at a time if they need to, or they could go out and phase into a whole building or a whole floor at a time. And then so as far as our control types, we have 3-wire and ecosystem. So ecosystems are digital and 3 wires are analog. There's nobody that makes ecosystem or 3-wire. So the only people that they could buy that would work on that system would be a Lutron driver.
Okay.
So
no other.
Remember that question. I was like, I got halfway through that question.
So no other ballast will work in a Lutron existing system. So if the ballast goes bad and they don't have any in keep stock, or they can't get any more through Grainger or anywhere else, they just will have a light fixture that does not work. They will have to upgrade to a C-Flex LED retrofit kit with a Lutron driver, correct?
Correct. Without going in and replacing the system, which would be quite costly.
Well, yeah, and especially some of these campuses you talked about that have thousands of ballasts. They would have to have a lot of money set aside to do something just like that. So excellent. Thank you for covering all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sticking with this C-Flex and the LED drivers, it's kind of important to start talking to your customers now about these ballasts that are going to be discontinued, and start sharing with them possibly this document right here that we have. Oh, I have it on page 2. But we have this document that's a Lutron C-Flex Granger brochure that talks about the retrofits. Reach out to myself or to Matt Kurtz, who will be on the end slide at the end here. Reach out to us. Say you want to know more information about it. We'll send you this, as well as a list of all of the ballasts that will no longer be available come the end of this year, with the Granger SKU assigned to each of those. That way you could run a sales report to see if any of your customers are currently buying any of those ballasts. And if they are, well, they're going to be impacted by this. And we need to start having these discussions now. That way they can either buy some extra ballasts to put on hand, maybe into keep stock, so that they could be tied over for a while, or start talking to them about the LED driver retrofits, and start talking to them about those. So like I said, we have this document readily available for you guys. So just reach out to myself or Matt Kurtz, who I will show his contact info at the end of the interview here today. All right. So Todd, do you have any new products or anything like that that are coming out sometime soon that you want to cover at all?
Yeah, so I'd say our newest commercial line would be the Athena line that's coming out, and that's as I mentioned, we try to make everything backwards compatible so we can move forward. And the goal would be that we move from our latest system, Quantum, to our newest system, Athena, and hopefully just be processor swaps. So the cost to the company or to the customer is not very high, and they can get into the newest technologies. So with Athena, there's a lot more features such as AWN, which is Athena wireless nodes. So fixtures can have these wireless nodes that make them smart. So now all the fixtures are smart. And then there's our other line, Ketra, which works directly with Athena. So you can have full spectrum color lighting, and change the lights to whatever color you want, and pinpoint art on the walls, or just make the color the most comfortable for the space that you're in.
Very cool. And just a while ago, I was on the Lutron website because I've slowly started integrating Caseta into my house.
Yeah.
And I saw my own personal preference. I don't really like the look of the Caseta switch,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw that you guys have some new switches, your Diva and I think Maestro,
Mm-hmm.
which I do like. I love those looks. That will tie into the Caseta smart home hub and all of that, where you can have some form of automation. And that really got me excited that I can buy those switches to put into my house, because also, as it is, a lot of the rest of my house already have that style of switch, like the bathrooms and whatnot. So for everything to kind of look the same will be nice going forward. And that's not so new, but it was new to me when I saw it the other day. So
Yeah, it's a great product, and I have it in my house as well. And I can set it so that when I'm a mile from home, my lights turn on outside, and it has so many features and options. It's a great product. Then you can go buy it wherever you need to buy it, and contractors can put it in all over the place and program it themselves. It works out great. I love it.
yeah. Yeah, the one thing that I'm really looking forward to is like last weekend, my wife and I and kids, we went on a road trip up to Michigan, Holland, Michigan for the Tulip
Oh yeah.
Festival. And I had to get out my timers for my lamp in the living room and for this other lamp in another part of the room. And I had to plug them in and program them. And then our exterior lights, we just had to flip the switch on and leave it on the entire time. And that's not something normal that we do. We only turn the lights on when the sun starts to set. But if
Mhm.
we had a Caseta light switch, on that particular switch, we could actually have a timer set for it to automatically come on at sundown and go off at sunrise, or whatever mixture we want. So that's one thing I've been dying to get for my house, because I just hate it when we go on a trip and I just have to leave a light on, and then not to mention programming these other timers for
Mhm.
lamps and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was just out in Grand Rapids, so I was really close to Holland. I
Oh yeah,
believe
yeah.
they were telling me how close it was, and I didn't get there, but I traveled all over Michigan this last week. So
Yeah, my mom's from Michigan, so I'm very familiar with the area. She grew up around Grand Rapids and whatnot. My uncle's buried near there too. We weren't able to go and see him, unfortunately, pay our respects, because he was a little too far from us, and we didn't have enough time when we were there. But the Tulip Festival, I definitely recommend it. It was really nice little town right on the ocean front, or oceanfront,
it feels like an
lakefront.
ocean. It feels like an
Uh,
ocean.
it's funny because my son, he's 10 years old. He looks out, he's like, "Man, Dad, if you didn't tell me this was Lake Michigan, I would think this was the ocean." I'm like, "Yeah, it is a big lake."
Yeah, it
And I
was. We
can't
walked
believe
out.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I can't believe I just called Lake Michigan an ocean here on live, TV, and it's going to be a recording that's out there forever, and I'm going to look like an idiot now. So great.
Yeah,
um,
it
all
is
right.
just like
So
an ocean. It is just like an ocean. We went out. We were at Lake Superior, and we walked out in the middle of the night, and it was creepy. There was no moon, and it was like, wow, it's just so large that it was scary. So we were like, oh, let's just go back out away from the beach.
are you aware of any upcoming trade shows that Lutron will be going to, here in the next month or so, or anything like that?
Um, I have not been a part of trade shows for a long time. Since I've moved into the end user world, there's less trade shows that I end up going to. I know we normally hit the normal light fairs and CDs and things like that, but I have not had the pleasure of going to a trade show in a long time. But I kind of miss them.
Well, maybe you'll be able to get back out there sometime soon. I know that's one of my favorite things about the job, is going to trade shows, meeting people. The Granger trade show is always a blast. Meeting with the end user customers, but also the Granger sales force.
Mhm.
And Lutron went this year, earlier in the year. So we're currently doing the Granger show follow-up calls with the account managers. So if anybody ever has any questions regarding Lutron, this LED driver retrofits for the fluorescent ballasts, if anybody has any questions about any of that, please feel free to reach out to myself or Matt Kurtz, who I will show his contact info here in a moment, and we'll help you out. Todd, before we let you go, do you have anything else, any closing comments, anything that you want to say before we end the show?
Nope. I mean, I've been working with a bunch of different Granger account managers all over, mostly from the ballast standpoint. And through Matt Kurtz, we've been trying to pull reports to see where the ballasts are going, so that way we can start teeing the account managers up with these kits, so that we go out and start talking about LEDs instead of ballasts. So I will help out anytime I can. If you ever want to talk through any of the technology of it, or have any questions at all, you can contact me as well.
Excellent. Real quick before we end things here, Oh, I forgot too. The QR code down below, if you scan that, that will take you to a website where you can pick from a multiple of different websites to go to. Everything Lutron has on Granger.com. I think we have Lutron's website, Lutron on LinkedIn, and Lutron's YouTube channel as well. So scan that code. That way you can learn a little bit more about Lutron. Now, next week, we are taking a break from doing our live stream show. So we will have no show next Friday, but our next live stream will be June 2nd, and it will be with Slide Sledge. Unfortunately, I don't have one behind me here or anything to show like we do some other suppliers of ours, but they do a multi-head slide hammer, and we'll be getting into the world of that tool and applications that it has. So make sure you check that out. If you have any customers that do construction, have construction equipment, heavy duty equipment, military, or manufacturing, that'll be a great one for you guys to check out. So with that said, Todd, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great weekend. Swimming, hopefully. Hopefully your pool is good to go later.
Yeah, we're about to drop 10 pounds of shock in it, so we'll be a couple days.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a good one. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.